Hello and welcome to Goa 365's Face to Face. Now, the speed that this modern world, India is moving, everybody is in cyber. We are talking about smartphones, we are talking about everything, in the cyber, sort of the realm of cyber, in internet. So much of everything is it's not like, personal, naturally. Everything is in the airwaves, so as to say. A lot of us don't know exactly what it is, and in Goa though, even though we are supposed to be very developed, every second person has a phone, has a smartphone, we don't know much about it. But today I am honored to have an expert in this field, cyber field, Dr. Harold DeCosta. Doctor, welcome to our show. Now before I start you off, I just want to introduce him a little bit, what he does and his general background. He's the president of Cybersecurity Corporation. He's a cybersecurity expert. He advises law enforcement agencies. He advises judges. He's he keeps a track. He helps out the various departments in cyber terrorism, banking frauds, XYZ. I let him give more because it's a very long sheet of paper. And he was in Goa. I was very fortunate that we could be in touch because he was in Goa to talk to the public prosecutors and to give, he comes here for various things to help our law enforcement agencies in the state also. Doctor, welcome to our show. Now, if you could give us a small in brief, like what do you do? Because what you do, everybody knows, we hear this has happened, but mostly it is Greek to a majority of us who really are not at that level. So in general, layman's terms, please, what exactly is this cyber crime and cyber security, banking fraud? We've all heard, but what is it exactly?
Yeah, thank you very much. See, first of all, when you talk about cyber crime, it's basically misuse of technology to do any illegal activities. My job in this field in terms of cyber security is in 3 domains. One is on the cybercrime investigation, cyber forensics and the digital evidence. In fact, my first acquaintance with Goa started in 2008 and it is going strong 15 years down the line. Okay. So I started training the cops in Goa, then I've trained the public prosecutors. I've trained even the few of the judicial officers in the state of Goa, the education department and some of the other ancillary departments as far as Goa is concerned in the field of cyber security, cyber investigation, forensics, so on and so forth. Now when you take up this whole gamut as far as the cyberspace is concerned, we have issues concerning that when you talk about banking frauds, the first and foremost we should understand that the cyberspace is not a well guarded place. And when you talk about the internet, it is a public network. There are millions of people who are accessing the internet on daily basis, on a second level basis. And therefore, under this point, my job mainly comes across that the misuse of this space should not be done. So it's a preventive measures. But then, even though you have the best of the preventive measures, you cannot say that you are the best in that field, because the hackers know some things which we are not aware. But then it's not that we are not able to catch the digital footprints of the hacker and hand it over to the law enforcement agencies. So that's one of the part what we do across in trying to sensitize the people that cyberspace is a public network. You have to be very cautious, have the preventive measures, but in case there is a breach which takes place, then we carry on with the investigation and then hand it over to the law enforcement agencies by assisting them. And of course, assisting the judicial agency also is very important, because finally at the end of the day, the matter is decided in the court, and that particular decision which is done in the court with humble submission has to be done in a way where the court understands what is the gravity of the matter, and then the matter is decided whether it is an acquittal or whether it is a conviction in that case. So all in all, that's the nature of the job what I do across.
Yeah, but why are PPs important here? What exactly you try and teach them? I'll go to the police later. They are okay, at least the investigation. But what are PPs? Why do you need to train them?
See, the public prosecutors are the architect of the court, and the judicial officer is the director of the court.
Okay, nice way of putting it, but yeah.
So the investigating officer, they do the investigation, but at the end of the day, the matter in the court has to be run by the public prosecutor.
He has to present the case.
He has to present the case. And then very seldomly you will find that the investigating officer talks in the court. So it is the public prosecutor who represents the investigating officer, who represents the state and puts the matter in front of the court. So that's why there is a need for the public prosecutors to be trained, to be understood about the matter, such as the matter could be presented in a way where the court understands it, and then the decision finally is kept on the honorable court to decide whether it is fit for an acquittal or whether it is fit for an conviction point of view.
So that's where you also need to, sensitize the judicial officers also, how exactly these things happen, because otherwise it will be like Greek to them, right?
See, I started this mission of training the judicial officer in 2014.
Okay.
I was, of course, as a substitute. There was a trainer who was there.
Okay.
So he did not come, so I was a substitute. And then last 9 years, I've been training the judicial officers.
All over India?
All over India.
Okay.
Till this time, I might have trained about 10,000 judicial officers.
I see.
And also trained judges from Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, then from Myanmar,
Wow.
then from Maldives.
Wow.
And of course, then that came with the wave, because I am a regular resource at the National Judicial Academy.
Okay.
So initially, the awareness among the judicial officer was less. But now during this session, we simulate the case, simulate by examples. And the last 9-10 years, we have seen there is a remarkable change as far as understanding of cyber crimes with the judicial officers.
Is it because the judicial officers are becoming younger and they are more in touch with technology, or no, generally awareness is being created?
No, I would say that the awareness, to an extent, it is there. The important aspect is to understand about the case from a legal perspective. And any matter of cybercrime is decided on evidence. For that matter, any matter. But you have an electronic evidence over here. And since the electronic evidence is being extracted from a public network, you have to be extra careful of extracting the evidence and then presenting to them. So the court shall rely on the norms which have been laid down. Until those particular norms are not been satisfied or orchestrated by the investigating officer or the team, the court shall not take it as the final conclusion point of view. So the judicial officers' awareness to a large extent has been there, because we have almost got about 50,000 judicial officers in the country, out of which we have got about 1200 High Court judges. We have got about 33 Supreme Court judges, they are the apex court, and the remaining of them from the district court and the lower court. So there is a lot of awareness which is now created at the High Court level, and of course at the apex court there is tremendous amount of awareness and tremendous amount of understanding about the cybercrime case has been done. But all said and done, the trial court is the district court and the lower court. So this court, we are now trying to sensitize them.
But the most of the work gets done at this level, right? Those are all the High Courts and the Supreme Court, there is appellate bodies. Right?
True.
So most of the work, everything, whether the case is going to stand, not going to stand, everything is going to happen at this trial level. No, no, doctor.
But what has happened is that in the last 8 to 9 years, there are many district court judges who are also now being trained. And the district court judges now, we laid down some certain steps, the effective steps, just to find out that when a charge sheet is filed in the court, what are the essential norms to be looked.
Okay.
And similar particular norms we are also trying to train to the PPs also. So such as they understand the crux of the matter, and only to that extent it is presented in the court of law. Okay. The rest of those particular things need not be taken, and the time being elongated. Because when you talk about the cybercrime conviction in our country is very less.
Very less, yes.
And the reasons for that less being that the seizure of evidence, the collection of evidence, the preservation of evidence creates a sufficient doubt in the court that something might have not been done properly. And that's the reason that we decided that the judicial officers have to be trained, made to understand. Finally, they are the person to decide upon the case for acquittal or for the acquittal or whether for the conviction.
These IOs, I think are very important, no? Because they have to be properly trained. What happens, our police force, besides very specialized, like say ED or CBI, most of the cops, like you say, police station, they'll do bandobast, they'll go for policing, law and order, cyber. They are all, so for them it's very important, because at least in Goa, our conviction rate, cybercrime, I think is almost zero. But even the others, it's a problem. So IOs are a very important cog in this particular thing, especially today with cybercrime, because we have a lot of these banking frauds and these so many of these, people they cheat, they do. It's important, right? And with the Prime Minister wants everybody to go cyber with things. So I think the importance of this is important, no doubt. It's going to keep on increasing with time. Do you think?
Yes, it is. In fact, the IOs, they are the first phase where they have to be properly trained, and they have to know about the process of investigation with proper due diligence. In fact, in the Information Technology Act, the investigating officer for a cyber crime is police inspector and above.
Okay.
And as you ought to rightly said, that if the police officer is there in the bandobast or in some other non-conventional work, then he or she would not be able to put up his work in the effective investigation as far as cybercrime is concerned. As on now, we have got more than 1,000 cyber police stations in the country. Specialized.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then these more than 1,000 cyber police stations we have. But then the need for developing at least 10 times more.
Yeah, because we are a huge country.
We had, in fact, in the first wave of COVID, India had almost about 12 lakh cyber security breaches.
Wow.
And in 2019, we had about 3,50,000 odd cyber security breaches. And then in 2020, that's the COVID wave, first wave, it went up to almost 12 lakh. Now, 3 times more than 3 times. Now, this 3 times more means that you require that much manpower.
Of course.
And you require that much bandwidth, and the capacity building has to be there. So what has happened is that more than 1,000 cyber police stations are not yet, I would say that they are still less. So they should be much more, 10 times more. And the IOs play a very critical role. Probably the lawmakers are looking very closely now, because most of the analysis is done by the PSI, the police sub-inspectors. So I think shortly, maybe there could be an amendment in the law where the PSI could be made the investigating officers, because they are young, they know the technology, they know the techniques, and as a result we will find more cybercrime to be registered, more better investigation to be done, and more justice could be given to the victim as far as the matter is concerned.
Most of the times we see in Goa also these banking frauds. Now the RBI and all has taken a more proactive way that suppose if anything happens, it can be reversed. But otherwise, it was like nobody knew what to do. Like people used to call up, they used to clone phones. We've had so many people have come here also to this office, all these. But when you go to the cops, no, we can't do, we don't know. I don't think they are aware of basically what should be done. Another thing also now you talk about this digital footprint. It's just like this, like how the dogs follow the footprints on real. So on in internet, is this exactly what you all do to collect that evidence? Because you spoke about this digital footprint. And
see what happens if I specifically take about the banking crimes, online banking crimes. If I take about it, we have to make a point noted, and that is, if I become a victim of any online banking fraud, I don't have to go to the police station immediately.
I don't have to. You don't have
I
to.
don't have to go immediately.
Achha.
What I should do is that I should call up my particular banker.
Okay.
There is a toll-free number or a call center number, and request them to block my account as well as my card. That's the first step I should do.
Okay.
Number 2 is that I should go to the bank and fill up the customer redressal form.
Okay.
So there's a customer dispute form, customer redressal form. I should fill up that form, give the facts of the case, that how I have been victimized. Within 28 days, the bank should reply to the person or to the account holder whether he was responsible, whether it was a laxity on part of him, or whether there was a laxity on part of the bank. Now, if I get that reply from the bank saying that it was my mistake, and if I am not satisfied with that reply, then I can apply my particular request to the banking ombudsman.
Okay.
And the banking ombudsman then acts as an apex body to take my complaint, works it impartially, and have the justice to be given. Finally, see, it's very important that if tomorrow I become a victim of any online banking fraud, my interest is not to have that criminal to be caught. My interest would be to get my money back.
Oh yes, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And police are not an agency to recover your
the
money. Yeah.
Correct, correct.
So police are the agency to catch those people, to
Yes.
catch the criminal. Of course, they should be caught. But even if you catch that criminal and the criminal says, I don't have any money to give. So finally, the objective of that victim who has lost his money is not being done. So if this process is followed by the victim of that online banking fraud, then I am sure that most of the money which has been lost could be recovered. And then the police can work across on catching the person who has orchestrated or committed this crime. So both the sides of the story can be taken, and the justice could be there in a criminal to be caught, and the victim also being compensated with the money. Another thing what could be done.
But this is a very ideal situation, mostly never happens.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, sorry for interrupting.
Another thing which could be done, and that is now there is an online portal, and that online portal is cybercrime.gov.in.
Okay.
So when I understand that I have become a victim of an online banking fraud, I can go to this portal and put my complaint online.
Okay.
And while I am filling up the details in this online portal, I have to also give that which is the nearest police station or which is the jurisdiction where my office is or my house is, the police station. Now what happens is that once this online complaint is been registered at the Central Home Ministry portal, this instruction will be given to the local police station, where the local police station then will give a call, and then the statement is been recorded and the process is been then followed.
Wow.
So otherwise there are some senior citizens who may not be knowing. So they have a number called as 1930. So they can call up on this toll free number, helpline, and they can call up on this number and give their complaint. Even though it's a verbal complaint, it can be taken. The details have been recorded at the other end. It's given to the local police station. The local police station will then call, and according to that, the matter then will be taken. The complaint shall be registered, and the investigation then will go on. But if the victim, if the account holders, if the victims are very, I would say, enthusiastic, if they take up this momentum quickly, and in a shortest possible time they report this matter to the bank and onto this portal, I can tell you that at least 70 to 80% of the money they could recover in the shortest possible amount of time.
It's interesting because all these things are like very new to a large section of Indian population, but I think we are getting there slowly but steadily we are getting there. Now a little more, now this is banking crime, you spoke about cyber terrorism, plus we've seen like even many of these government websites, they get hacked. And then I mean this cyber protection, even now like company documents, people, there is a business terrorism, people want to think. So how do you all deal with that? Is that a totally different field, as in like it's a specialized field which most people are not even aware. Now for example, if I am running a company or if I am in charge of, I don't know how to protect myself. So do you all deal with that, and are there many cases of this type that are happening?
Yes.
Maybe from within the country, unfriendly countries, whatever?
Yeah. See, there are many corporate frauds also which are taking place.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Yes. And you have seen that during the time of the first wave of COVID, many of the companies which are making vaccines, they also are not being spared.
Not being correct,
Yeah.
yes.
What should be done? There are a lot of preventive mechanisms which the organization has to follow. For example, if organization has got a firewall installed, then many of this unauthorized access to the network can be stopped. Number two, there should be proper policy and guidelines to be inherited in that particular office, in that particular system.
Protocols have to be.
Yeah, there are a lot of protocols. In fact, for banks, RBI has issued special guidelines. And if those guidelines have been followed by the banks, I can assure you to an extent of 95% people would be secured.
Okay.
Implementation is going on, it will take some time, but it's not that the RBI is not taking steps. RBI has taken steps. In fact, on the corporate side also, as far as the data security is concerned, there are specific norms. I can to an extent, I go with you that this awareness among the corporates also is not there.
Slowly it's coming there.
It's coming up. It's
because
coming
data, what we have noticed, like now even we like see, even people used to not have data, used to not do things by doing surveys, by doing data. Indian companies were not like this. Only now I think probably the political parties do more surveys than corporate, if I know, besides the MNCs and all. That thing, that systems, those protocols, those SOPs, it's not become a part of your everyday topic of discussion in companies, I think, including cybersecurity. Is it? I don't know. I'm just asking.
Yeah. See what has happened now. We have the provision in the Information Technology Act.
Yes, laws are there.
Yeah. No, Section 70.
Okay.
There is a nodal cybersecurity agency called as CERT.
Okay.
That is Computer Emergency Response Team. Now they have made some beautiful guidelines, which has to be followed by every corporate, every industry. If they are not being followed, then the responsibility is not on them. But assuming that tomorrow if any organization becomes a victim of any data fraud, CERT has come up with guidelines that within 6 hours of you noting that okay, you have become a victim, you could report to them. So you could give that report to them that okay, I become a victim. They will ask you some specific information regarding about some log sheets and all, and those log sheets are provided to them. CERT along with the law enforcement agency will work onto that and help the law enforcement agency in giving the relevant information to catch the perpetrator of the crime.
Yeah, doctor, I agree with you. Now, but this is post. Now, why? Suppose if you are being hacked, so much of information can just, you won't even know.
Yes.
Is this happening?
It is. In fact, at the first and the second wave of COVID, lot of corporates' data was breached, lot of it. And the reason for it is that you had the policy, but the implementation was poor.
Yeah, we are a big country, let's just say.
And the weakest link of any cyber attack is the people.
Correct.
Because people should not be compromised. That is one side. Second thing is that lack of awareness among the people who are working over there. So if there is better cyber hygiene practices which have been followed in an organization with a followed due diligence as given by CERT, I will tell you that another 95% of the cyber crimes taking place in the corporate could be minimized.
But there will always be that one guy who's going to either not log out or use something and keep something open or some paper tray, computer tray. There's always going to be that one person, I don't know, that's what we see in movies.
Let it be. No, even if that 1% is there, but now we have got better equipped systems like firewall, we have got intrusion detection system, we have got intrusion protection systems. So these systems are, some of them are artificial intelligence based, and these systems will ensure that even that 1% laxity is there, well, that can be overpowered by the use of these technologies. The issue is that these technologies have to be implemented not only according to the law of the land, but they have to be followed with proper policies and guidelines.
But it's going to be a tough ask, no? Because experts are there, security people are there, ethical hackers are there, but there are also hackers from the other side who are always going to be. So it's always going to be like, you keep. It's going to be very interesting, I think, in the future, especially with now this AI and all these things. It's like.
Well,
revolution is, see, initially we were like, let's say, moving, say if it's a car, moving on 20, 30, now we are like 120, 130, it's every day something is coming up.
See, it's a Tom and Jerry race.
Yes, something like that.
So it's a Tom and Jerry race.
Yeah.
But then, see, you used a word called as ethical hackers.
Yes.
Okay. Rather, if you look at the provision of the law, there is nothing which is ethical in hacking.
Fair enough.
Okay? And
Correct.
so what happens that we require good cyber security professionals, cyber forensic, evangelist. Now to do this, we require a lot of institutions to come up with this. We have got some certain national forensic science universities are there. Goa also has got one.
Yes.
And then we have got other 2-3 places also. Some state level academies also has come. We have to create that type of a manpower. In my field as a cyber expert, we have a huge shortage.
I can imagine, yes.
We have a huge shortage. Either we are in technical side, either we are in legal side, but we have very few who are in techno-legal side. And that's the way that why we have these cyber crimes to be increased exponentially in the country. The day when we have got institutions which will teach both the technical side and the legal side combined, I can tell you that we can have a revolution in eliminating cyber crimes to a large extent.
Doctor, it's been a pleasure, and this topic we could go on and on, but I'm like out of time, so we need to. I'm sure we can. Next time you're in Goa, we can sit and maybe you can give us some more this on this. But India is short of everything. What it's not? It's short of police. It's short of X. It's short of Y. And this is the future. This is people will go in, but then companies also should support good salaries and support, and then institutions, education should be there. Hopefully we are getting there, hopefully we will. But it was a real pleasure, Dr. Harold. It was a pleasure hosting you. Very interesting topic, very interesting. This is something that I'm personally also very interested in, and I'm sure I would love to see more of you in our studio. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you.
This was Dr. Harold. He's an expert, and you've seen he's made some things which are very complicated, little easy, but in a way very scary also, because the way technology and the way everything is moving at such a small pace, we need to start getting prepared, getting ready, because what we read in the papers is something that for Dr. Harold and people in that line, a reality which they deal with every second day. So again, thank you, Doctor. And keep watching Goa 365.